Shocking response from Nadal to Muratoglu's statement about Sinner and Djokovic. Muratoglu compares the big three with Alcaraz, Sinner and sparks Nadal's reaction. Patrick Muratoglu has made Rafael Nadal react on his social networks. Used to giving his opinion in short capsules that he publishes on his Instagram account, the French coach referred that day to the comparison between the big three and the Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry. Muratoglu's statement: "For those who think that Djokovic's victory against Sinner in the semifinals of the Australian Open means that the big three play better tennis than Alcaraz and Sinner, that is an overly simplistic view. Let me explain it to you. First of all, they are drawing hasty conclusions from a single match. Let's not forget that Sinner had won their 5 previous encounters. One single match will not make me change my opinion about what I have been observing for 2 or 3 years. Jannik is faster, hits harder, takes the ball earlier and serves better than Novak. But Novak has the strongest mentality in the history of tennis, and that made the difference. That is what has forged his career. Sinner won 12 more points than Novak during the match, but he lost because Novak knew how to win the decisive points, the ones that mattered most. Novak is not a better tennis player than Sinner, but he is the greatest competitor in history, and he was better than Jannik Sinner in that match." Rafael Nadal's response. A blunt analysis that has sparked numerous comments, among which one in particular stands out. In fact, Rafael Nadal's account reacted with emojis that said a lot about what he thought of the analysis by the former coach of Serena Williams. Faced with these statements by Muratoglu, Rafa Nadal reacted with several emojis, including laughter. A sign that probably tells us that the Spaniard does not agree with his words. Fabio Fognini has congratulated Carlos Alcaraz on his victory at the Australian Open and has compared him with the 3 members of the Big Three, highlighting the qualities he has from each of them. Carlos Alcaraz continues to be the #1 sensation in tennis. After being crowned champion of the Australian Open for the first time in his career, the legend of the Mercian tennis player has grown, and many have applauded his achievement. His 4-set victory against Novak Djokovic means the achievement of the career Grand Slam for the Spaniard. A feat that very few tennis players have achieved in their career, and even fewer at the early age of 22, as is the case with Carlitos. In light of such a feat, Fabio Fognini, former Italian tennis player and winner of the Australian Open in 2015, did not hesitate to congratulate Alcaraz on his Instagram account. Carlitos Alcaraz is the youngest player in history to complete a Grand Slam. Congratulations, Carlitos. Super well deserved from every point of view. In addition to congratulating the tennis player, he also dedicated a few words to his team. Excellent fitness coaches, excellent trainers, excellent team, truly, many congratulations, Fognini added. During the video posted by the Italian on social media, Fabio posed a question, wondering whether Carlos Alcaraz could be a mix of Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic. In my opinion, yes. In perspective, he could win and surely will win a lot. He has Roger Federer's talent, Rafa Nadal's physicality and power, as well as elasticity, and best of all, Novak's recovery ability. In my opinion, yes, but I would like to know if you think the same, concluded Fognini, comparing Carlos with the members of the Big Three. Shocking news that changes everything between Ferrero and Alcaraz. Stay until the end to learn all the details. Juan Carlos Ferrero's name continues to be one of the most repeated in Carlos Alcaraz's environment despite the Australian Open title. After the great triumph this past Sunday, many were expecting congratulations from his former coach, which never came directly, although it did come from the social networks of Ferrero's own academy. Despite this, many followers were still waiting to see if the long-awaited reaction would finally arrive, but after Ferrero's latest steps, it is now clear that it will not come. Now the coach of golfer Angel Ayora, he has taken a new turn in his relationship with Carlitos, whom he has stopped following on social media. A surprising move after repeatedly stating that their personal relationship had not been affected despite the professional split. It is true that Ferrero explained that it was not being easy to deal with it and that he preferred not to watch his former pupil at the Australian Open, assuring that the wound was still very recent, showing that the Valencian was the one most affected by what happened. His separation on social media could be another sign of the difficult moment Ferrero is still going through, as he seeks to completely close a chapter that is now in the past. For the moment, Alcaraz still follows Ferrero, a step that does not seem likely to be reciprocated. The Spaniard reflects on the reasons that led to this separation, talks about whether he has thought about his former coach and lavishes praise on Samuel Lopez. Behind every great athlete, there is a group of people who allow their potential to become reality and to explore their limits. Carlos Alcaraz feels a huge attachment to his family and his work team. After his split with Juan Carlos Ferrero, Many expected some kind of mention of his former coach after being crowned champion of the Australian Open 2026, but the Mercian has been cautious. The news of their split fell like a bomb just weeks before the start of the Australian Open 2026, and there is still a strange feeling among all fans regarding what may have happened between them. Juan Carlos Ferrero has also been a protagonist of the tournament through his interviews with various media outlets, but this has not distracted Carlos Alcaraz at all, who maintains eternal loyalty to his people and seems to have completely detached himself from the man who was his great mentor and former coach. There are no negative words about him, and in an interview with El Mundo, the first mention of Juan Carlos after his success in Melbourne arrived. The wear and tear of so many years working together has been cited as the fundamental argument to try to explain the breakup, and that is what the Mercian alluded to again. Life is about taking paths, and after a season that runs from January to November, you have to make decisions. We saw that we needed a change, argued Alcaraz, who has managed to isolate himself from all the media noise generated around this news, something he spoke about openly. Alcaraz highlights the figure of Samuel Lopez and spoke about the separation from Ferrero. The wear and tear of so many years working together has been cited as the fundamental argument to try to explain the breakup, and that is what the Mercian alluded to again. Life is about taking paths, and after a season that runs from January to November, you have to make decisions. We saw that we needed a change, argued Alcaraz, who has managed to isolate himself from all the media noise generated around this news, something he spoke about openly. Samuel Lopez, praised by Alcaraz. Photo, Getty Images. First came his now famous quote in which he said that after winning the Australian Open 2026, he remembered all those who thought he would not achieve it. Time has helped me understand the power of words and how they can influence a person's mood, said Carlos, who admits having experienced certain doubts after reading negative comments following the decision to end his collaboration with Ferrero. He also took the opportunity to make a plea highlighting how committed he is to his family and his environment. My people are the ones who really know me, and if they have to give me a slap to bring me back down to earth, they will, said the Mercian. In addition, there was also time for a special mention of Samuel Lopez, a true student of tennis with whom Carlos Alcaraz feels a very special connection. His figure has grown in importance as the Australian Open 2026 progressed, and everyone could see his sharp tactical advice during matches and the unique chemistry he displayed with the Mercian tennis player. There seems to be no doubt in recognizing the Alicante native as the ideal coach to guide Carlos's path this season, especially after the Mercian's words about him. He helps me a lot on a professional level, improving my shots and pointing out tactical aspects, but he also knows how to calm me down when something worries me. That is very important for me so that I can give my best on the court, commented Carlos Alcaraz, who is already looking ahead to upcoming challenges, without denying his past, but without looking back on it with nostalgia either. Juan Carlos Ferrero and his legacy will be eternal, but it is still too soon for both of them to talk about what happened naturally and without pain. Carlos Alcaraz fuels romance rumors with Peggy Gou with his latest gesture. The South Korean DJ was seen in the Australian Open champions box during one of his matches. Every time Carlos Alcaraz plays a Grand Slam, he is linked to a new girlfriend. The recent Australian Open champion has been associated with South Korean model and DJ Peggy Gou after she was seen in the Mercian tennis player's box during his match against Alex de Minaur. This is a space usually reserved for the athlete's team and inner circle, so the gesture did not go unnoticed. Her involvement during the match was absolute. Cameras followed her gestures, celebrations, and nervous moments non-stop, to the point that several specialized media outlets shared videos focused exclusively on her reactions. In the subsequent press conference, the tennis player was asked about her. She's really cool and I hope to win the next round if I want to see her set music. I'm happy she's close. She's given me a lot of support, which is really cool. I hope I can see her on Sunday, he said. Peggy was in Melbourne for work, as she had several shows coinciding with the Australian Open, including a performance in the final as part of AL Live, which combines tennis and live music as part of the event's programming. In statements to the Australian newspaper, the artist explained that they met, thanks to a mutual friend, restaurant and nightclub entrepreneur David Grutman. We are friends. Alcaraz and Sinner were playing matches in Korea and my parents are big tennis fans. They asked me, could you get us a ticket, please? I asked David and he was the one who introduced us. We met in Korea and became good friends, Gou said. Despite the fact that both have made their relationship clear, the world number one's latest gesture has only fueled rumors, especially among fans. Alcaraz accompanied his latest batch of photos on Instagram with a song by the artist, It Goes, Na Na Na, which is very popular on social media and streaming charts. Peggy Gou is 34 years old and is one of the most influential DJs on the international electronic music scene. Born in South Korea, she studied at the prestigious London College of Fashion and, over time, has collaborated with luxury brands such as Bottega Veneta, consolidating a professional career that goes far beyond music.